Hello, my name is Patimah Nabilah, and now I will read text one by one. Thank you. Part 1. Read this text correctly. You don't have to be French to enjoy a decent red wine. Charles Jocelyn, the grocer, used to tell his foreign guests whenever he entertained them in Paris. But you do have to be French to recognize one, he would add with a laugh. After a lifetime in the French diplomatic corps, the Count de Gros lived with his wife in an elegant townhouse and qual Voltaire. He was a likable man, cultivated of course, with a well-deserved reputation as a generous host and amusing raconteur. This evening's guests were all European and all equally convinced that immigration was at the root of Europe's problems. Charles de Gaulle said nothing. He had always concealed his contempt for such ideas, and in any case he had never much care for this particular guest. The first of the red Bordeaux was being served with the veal, and one of the guests turned to the gross. "Come on, Carlos. It's simple arithmetic, nothing to do with race or color. You must have had bags of expensive of this sort of thing. What do you say?" "Yes, general bags." Part 2. Read this word correctly. A pen, a postcard, a pencil, a passport, a pin, a passenger, a peer, a policeman. Peter, a newspaper. Poppy, a paper pot. Paris, a spoon. Empty, helpful. Stop talking. Upstairs. Play. Brush. Wait. Clean. Look. Paint. Snow. Push. Shout. Close. Watch. Wanted. Field. Dance. Landed. Study. Walk. Departed. Part 3. Read and compare between two words. Pin. Bin. Pen. Ben. Peer. Beer. Cap. Cap. Pub. Pub. Poppy. Bobby. Tor. Door. Tarts. Darts. Cart. Cart. White. Right. Train. Drain. Trunk. Drunk. Part 4. Read this long text correctly. She was walking lazily, for the fierce April sun was directly overhead. Her umbrella blocked its rays, but nothing blocked the head, the sort of raw will head that crushes you with its energy. A few buffalo were tethered under coconuts, browsing the parched Fergus. Occasional car went past, leaving its traces in the melting pitch like the wake of a ship at sea. Otherwise it was quiet and she saw no one. In her long white Sunday dress you might have taken Ginny Narin for 14 or 15. In fact she was 12, a happy, uncomplicated child with a nature as open as the red hibiscus that decorated her black waistline hair. Generation earlier, her family had come to Trinidad from India as overseas on the sugar plantation. Her father had some success through buying and clearing land around Rio Cristalino and planting it with coffee. On the dusty verb 20 yards ahead of Ginny, a car pulled up. She had noticed it crash by once before, but she did not recognize it and could not make out the driver through its dark windows, themselves as black as its gleaming pointwork. As they walked past it, driver glass started to open. "Hello, Ginny," she heard behind her. She paused and turned. A slight color rose beneath her dusky skin. Rafi Kirjani was tall and lean, and always well dressed. His black eyes and large white teeth flashed in the sunlight as he spoke. Everyone in Rio Cristalino knew Ravi. Ginny often heard her unmarried sister talk revelry of him, of how if only their father were alive and they still had land, one of them might marry him, and then they would squabble over who it might be and look at Ginny because she was too simple for any man to want. "How do you know my name, Raffi?" she asked with a thrill. "How do you know mine? Everyone knows your name. You're Mr. Kirjani's son." "Right. And where you're going, Ginny?" he said, and looked down at the ground again. "To chapel," she said with a faint smile, but Ginny good Hindus go to the temple. His rich, cultured voice was gently mocking as he ate with a laugh. "Or maybe the temple pundits around your taste in color?" She blushed more deeply at the reference to Father Olivier. She did not know how to reply. It was true that she liked the young French priest with his Venetian and blue eyes, but she had been going to the Catholic chapel for months before he arrived. She loved its cheerful hymns and its simple creed of one God. So different from those miserable Hindu gods who squabble with each other like her sister at home. But add to that, the vulgarity of Ravi's remark bewildered her because his family were known for their breeding. People always said that Ravi would be a man of honor, like his father. Ravi looked suddenly grave. His dark skin seemed even darker. It may be that he regretted his word. Possibly he saw the confusion in Ginny's white-brown eyes. In any case, he did not wait for an answer. "Can I offer you a lift to chapel in my 21st birthday present?" he asked, putting his sunglasses back on. She noticed how thick their frames were. Real gold, she thought, like the big fat watch on his wrist. "It is a merchandise from Papa. Do you like it?" he added nonchalantly. From the shade of her umbrella, Ginny peered up at a small lawn cloth that hung motionless above them. The sun beating down mercilessly, and there was an urge in the air, an overpowering sense of glow. With a handkerchief, she wiped the sweat from her forehead. Ravi gave a tug at his collar. "It is air-conditioned, Ginny, and you want to be late for chapel," he continued, reading her mind. But chapel must have been the last thing on Rao's mind when Ginny, after a moment's hesitation, accepted his offer, for he drove her instead to a quiet sugar-filled outside town, and there with the Mercedes concealed among the sugar cans, he introduced himself into her. Ginny was in a daze, young as she was. She barely understood what was happening to her. The beat of calypso filled her ears, and the sugar cans towered over her, whereas the cold draught from the air conditioner played against her knees. Afterwards, clutching the ragged flower that had been torn from her hair, she lay among the tall, sweet-smelling cans and sobbed until the brief tropical twilight turned to starry night. But she told no one, not even Father Olivier. 2 weeks later, the little market town of Rio Cristalino was alive with gossip. Raffi Kirjani had been promised the hand of Sunita Morpalani. Like the Kirjanis, the Morpalanis were an established Indian family, one of the wealthiest in the Caribbean. But while the Kirjanis were diplomats, the Morpalanis were commercial family. They had made their fortune in retailing long before the collapse in oil price had emptied their customer pockets, and no Morpalani stores were scattered through Trinidad and some of the other islands. Prudently, they had diversified into banking and insurance, and as a result, their influence was felt at the highest level. It was a benevolent influence, of course, never about for their influence was felt at the highest level. It was a benevolent influence, of course, never a buzz, for people always said the Morpalanis were a respectable family, and well above reproach. They had houses in part of Spain, Tobago and Barbados, as well as in England and India, but their main residence was a magnificent, sprawling colonial town mentioned just to the north of Rio Cristalino. The arranged marriage would be the social event of the following year. When Ginny heard of Rafi's engagement, the loathing she had conceived for him grew into a sort of numb hatred. She was soon haunted by a longing to repay that heartless, arrogant brute. She would give anything to humiliate him, to see that leering, conscious grin whipped from his face. But although she was unmoved on weekdays, she went to school, and on Sundays she went still to the Father Oliver's afternoon service. Girl, you sure does have a lot to confess to that witty, her mother would say to her each time she came home late from chapel. He's not a witty, he's a man of God, that as may be, child, but don't forget he does be a man first. The month passed and she did not see Rafi again. And then it rained all through August. The rain hardly stopped. It rattled persistently on the galvanized roof until you thought you would go mad with the noise, and if stopped, the air was as sticky as treacle, and you prayed for it to rain again. Then one day in October, towards the end of the wet season, when Ginny's family were celebrating her only brother's 18th birthday, something happened that she had been dreading for weeks. She was lying in the hammock on the balcony playing with her 6-year-old nephew, Penny. Suddenly, Penny cried out, "Ginny, why are you so fat?" Trigger, the little farmhouse, all celebrating, stopped on the balcony. Serious eyes were turned upon Ginny, and you could see what the boy meant. "God have mercy on you, Virginia, watch the shape of your belly," cried Mrs. Nearin, exploding with indignation and pulling her daughter indoors, away from the prying neighbors' ears. Her voice was loud and hard, and there was a blackness in her eyes like the blackness of the skies before thunder. How could she have been so blind? She cursed herself for it, and harsh questions burst from her lips. The end.